Hey everyone, good afternoon. Today's Wednesday, January 27th, and today we saw the hard sell-off occur that we expected to see. We talked about this the last few days and weeks, and today it materialized. So we'll start with the S&P. It was down 2.38%. You saw it opened up down. It fell further below the 20-day moving average red line here. Didn't get quite to the green 50-day moving average, and then rose back up a little bit midday and then sold off towards the end. So it did make new recent lows, so a lot of technical damage here. These are dips that we're dip buyers, so if you have capital to deploy, this was a great place to deploy it. Moving on to the NASDAQ QQQ, it was down 2.79%. It blew through the 10-day moving average, but then was supported at the red 20-day moving average here and came back up, finished somewhere between them. So you saw big volume today. There's a lot of fear in the market, as you can tell by the VIX, the volatility index. That spiked, and once it got above the purple 200-day moving average, it was off to the races. The VIX is, they call it the fear index. It doesn't really measure fear, but it's what they, it's what it's called. It was up 46% today. So we talked about in bonds, TLT here, this gap right here, that could, if TLT gets above the red 20-day moving average here, that it's going to go close this gap. That gaps like to get closed. And when bonds go up, stocks go down. So we've been talking about all these situations that are ripe for a falling stock market, and today it seemed to happen. We talked about if the dollar went up and started testing this green 50-day moving average, it would push gold down below the purple 200-day moving average. So all these things started working. Was that the sell-off that we had been waiting for? Is that all of it? We don't know. We'll continue to watch tomorrow. If this is a deeper turn down for the market, this would be what the start might look like. But dip buyers, we buy on these dips when the fear gets too high. You see other times here when the volatility index spikes, it goes right back down. And you can see in the markets here when there are these big spikes and the market goes back up. Big spike down and the market goes back up. So we are positioned for the market to go back up. We sold some stocks today, and then we bought some also. So we'll go to those first before we get into the rest of the market. So the ones we sold today was ITGR. It hit our price target, and which was the green 50-day moving average, and when it did, we sold. So the others we took losses on and got out of. USB, as yesterday we saw it had been moving along this green 50-day moving average, and we thought if it could get above it, then it would go on to test the red 20-day moving average. But if it got below and got below some of these levels, then there's nothing below except for this purple 200-day moving average. The 100-day moving average, this blue line, is here, but that is also breaking new lows, and that's not much support. So as USB started falling today, we sold out and took a loss. We also sold out of VRSK today. You saw yesterday we had this green candle where the bulls won, and that was a good sign, and we thought maybe we could get the bounce and reversal back up. It didn't materialize when it started making new lows. We saw this 200-day moving average at 181, this purple line rising here, and that would be the next spot, and that was too far for us to fall, so we didn't want to take that chance, so we got out. FRC was similar yesterday. You saw it actually went up and hit our price target up here at this 10-day moving average yellow line. but we didn't get filled, and so it didn't sell, and it closed down. It closed down yesterday below the red 20-day moving average, which was a warning sign to us. And then when it opened up today and started pushing lower, we sold out. The next level of support is down here, this 141 green 50-day moving average. And we didn't want to wait for that to see if it gets supported or not, and so we sold out. The other stock we sold was LVS. Again, yesterday it was up on this blue line, 100-day moving average. We thought maybe we could get a bounce. We'd be waiting to see, but we didn't. It opened up down and continued making new lows and continued pushing through the 200-day moving average, purple line here. And when it got through there, we sold out of that. So we'll move on here to the stocks we are holding now. We bought AAP. One of the reasons we had bought it was because it had fallen below the 200-day moving average, but ended up coming up back and closing right at it. So because it was supported, buyers came in. It was a great defense, and often, the 200-day moving average is one of the strongest moving averages. It takes a lot to go through it. It's a big trend change when it does. Being the 200-day moving average, the largest 200-day moving average we found, that's what makes it the strongest. So it's very possible we could get a big bounce off of this up to the green 50-day moving average at 157.75. That would be a $10 gain on this. That would be a great win for us. We also bought ADPT. We bought it down as it was approaching the green 50-day moving average, and it was late in the day, and we felt that if it hadn't broken through the 50-day moving average with all the selling that had gone on today, that it would be a good strong hold. It ended up breaking below at the end of the day and closing below. It also looks like it might have made new lows. That was 54.3 there, and low was 54.3. Okay, so it did not make new lows. It tied. It went down exactly to 54.3, and then it looks like it closed up a bit. So that's technically being held. If it can bounce up and close above the green line tomorrow, the 50-day moving average, then there's a good chance that it'll go back up and test the red 20-day moving average at 61.77, and that would be a good win for us. So that's why we picked that one up. ASX, I believe we picked this up yesterday. So it opened down and fell down to the 20-day moving average red line here, but it didn't fall below it. It closed this gap that was right here that we had been waiting. We had been anticipating it could fill, which was 684, and so it made that close. Closed at 684. It closed the gap, but it was still stayed above the 20-day moving average. So that's a strong support for us. We like to see that. We're hoping that we can get it bounce back up to the 10-day moving average here at 734, and we'd take profits there. AY we bought today, and we had bought it because it was down here. It had closed this gap from earlier. It hadn't quite reached the 50-day moving average, but a big gap from yesterday. Felt like a big move. The volume had increased a little bit, but not as much as some of these others. So it wasn't as much selling pressure, maybe just lack of buyers. But we think that it's fallen far enough that the buyers could come in. We bought it before, not waiting for it to hit the 50-day moving average. It's in a little limbo, but with this gap, we think that'll get closed, so we can made our sell target here at 43.05. BSBR, we held that from yesterday. It was down 1.23%, not as bad as the rest of the market. The reason is because we've already bought that on the dip. With the new sell-off in the market, BSBR has been ahead of it. It's already sold off, so I don't think it was affected as much by the sell-off today. There's big volume, but not a whole lot of push down, so that which means the big volume is probably buyers ready to stand firm and not let it go much further. So knowing that there's buyers in the market to absorb any more selling, I think that will keep the sellers at bay. We'll see a pop here and look to sell at 7.8, this 10-day moving average. CSTL, we bought that today. We bought that down here around, because it was getting close here to the 50-day moving average. We own it at 66.17. Okay, so we bought it right around here, and it fell a little bit further, but we have the 50-day moving average and a lot of support from this run up here. So we think this rising 50-day moving average will catch it and hold it, and we can look to take profits up here at the 20-day moving average, the red line here. And then the last stocks we have, ENBL from yesterday, it was down 2.32%. It closed below the 50-day moving average green line here. Not too much below. It wasn't huge heavy selling like we saw in a lot of other stocks, so we held it just because it still has a lot of support from the last few days here. It has support from the last few weeks here. So we're not ready to sell out yet. If it were to drop below 5.36, it's possible we could sell it, but there's just so much support in here. We'll just watch price action. We'll hope that there's enough support here that it won't fall further, and then the buyers can take back over. We'll look to get out here at the 10-day moving average at 5.77. EPAC, we had that from yesterday. It was down 0.37%. A lot of buyers today. A good green candle, one of the few that we see today with all the selling. It opened up lower. It tested lows, the 50-day moving average here, this light blue line, and it closed up above the 5-day moving average here at 2181. It got up above there. I guess it closed slightly down, but so kind of a no day for it. Did like to see a green candle, which means that there aren't sellers still in the market here, which means maybe some of the selling is done and buyers are ready to pick it up. ITUB was down 0.57%. A shooting star here, a doji. It did make new lows. A couple days ago it was at 521, and the low today was 517. So it did peak down new lows, but it closed up above them. This one we saw the big reversal day yesterday when it gapped up and sold back down, but still kind of closed at the middle of the range. So this is 3 days in a row. It's kind of closed right here, which kind of indicates that the selling may be done and buyers are ready to pick it back up. KEX, we had that yesterday. I believe we bought it. Today, big volume candle, a lot of buyers coming in when it got down to the purple 200-day moving average. So stock opened, it sold down to it, and then buyers picked it up and overwhelmed the sellers at the end of the day. So we have a green candle, a green hammer. Hopefully that momentum continues and we can break up above the 50-day moving average. Our targets here would be the 10-day moving average and the 20-day moving average, where they're converging here at 534. KNSL is one we held from yesterday, is down 1.02%. You saw it getting supported by the 200-day moving average, this purple line right here, and it had a doji, a little cross here. So it was down, but it's kind of like a tie here between buyers and sellers. Hopefully the 200-day moving average holds. This is one of our strongest moving averages. We can get a bounce back up and look to take profits at the red line here at 271. And the last one, SLM, we bought this today as it was getting down at the 50-day moving average. We got in at 12.11, so we actually are holding a profit on this, up about 1%. So we bought it here down at the 50-day moving average, this green line, and it closed up a little bit at 12.22. But as long as this green line holds, then we're looking to go back up and close the gap from yesterday in the last few days, and then our price target would be here at this 20-day moving average red line at 13.05. So rough day in the markets today, but markets ping pong back and forth. If you remember that video from Josh Brown, the dog is like stock price, darting all around while they're both generally going in the same direction. So the moving averages tell us the direction. Right now, we're still in the uptrend. We had some technical damage done today as price moved down below the charts, but below some of the moving averages, but then closed up above them. So we'll watch and see what tomorrow has in for us. I wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce back up, but we're not predicting. We just kind of follow the market. So I hope everyone has a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.